Hello and welcome to this webinar on Canvas. This is the third session of 10, and today's topic is content pages and multimedia. If you're watching this recording, I'm happy to say that I have Jeanette here in our live presentation, so hopefully some folks will be joining us, but if not, that's also okay. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat to make sure that any questions that you ask I am answering. And the topic again is content. I'm going to be covering content pages and multimedia. I actually changed my topic just a little bit earlier this morning. I realized that the content pages topic was actually pretty short, so I decided to include multimedia today. And then the next session, I will be doing advanced formatting and content, so focusing on HTML and CSS. So I will go ahead and get started with the next slide of my presentation. A review that I did from the last topic rather was on modules, and that is to remember that modules is good for organization. Modules allow us to control access to course materials, and the content pages allow instructional context around any multimedia or embedded files that we have. And so it's something that I like to mention as we get into the content. I strongly encourage that you use modules to organize your course materials, even if it's just files that you're using Canvas for as a file repository for students, or if you're using even for quizzes or discussions or whatever. It's really nice to have those organized within modules because it can give students a directed path through the material. And as we covered last time, the modules can be used to restrict access in terms of time, and also to require students to meet certain requirements before they can access other material. The next slide is on text guidelines. So a content page basically is a web page that we create inside of Canvas. So it's a Canvas-only web page. And like any web page, you can have text, you can have images, you can embed video. There are other things that you can include. For the text, it is okay to copy and paste formatted text into that text box. And then when you're working with text, I'm going to throw out some tips for universal design. This is great for our students who are using screen readers to listen to the content that's on the page. Make sure that you use headings for the text. In the screenshot that I have here, I have the course goals and course themes. Those are both heading 2, and Canvas actually does not allow you to use heading 1 inside a text box because it reserves heading 1 for the title of the content page. It's important to use lists, so bullets or numbered lists. Actually use the list formatting button instead of just trying to write down numbers or whatever, because that does again help screen readers. Use descriptive links, which means the actual text that the students are clicking on. Make sure that is descriptive. It tells them where the link goes, and not just say you can't, or it's not a good idea to say click here, or even say click here for the resource. Just put the name of the resource. So an example here is I have a link there that says the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Project at SUNY Albany. So that's something I want my students to look at. I included the actual title of the link in the the actual title of the page as the link text. For table headers, so if you're using tables, make sure that you've got headers identified, whether those are column headers or row headers. Again, that helps for people who are listening to the page using screen readers. And then finally, color care. It's important that you have a high contrast. There's 2 things that color care means. One is that you have high contrast so that there is a high contrast between the text and the background. So, of course, a black text on a white background always works well for that. But if you decide to do color, make sure, again, that you've got that high contrast. And then the second thing that color care refers to is making sure that the color by itself does not indicate meaning, because it's possible you have students who are colorblind, and so they may not recognize that there's a difference in color there. It's probably possible there are students who have a low resolution monitor, or I'm not sure if there are black and white monitors still around, but just in case there are, you can't assume, in other words, that students see the color. And that same concept of students not seeing the color goes for formatting like bolds. You see I have the word American bold on my screenshot there. The fact that it's bold, for students who are sighted, they may catch that and they may notice that, but the fact that it's bold, if someone doesn't know that it's bold, it doesn't make a difference, right? There's no essential meaning translated, or the essential meaning that comes across with that color or that particular formatting. Any questions about what I've got here before I do some demonstration time?
No.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, you got a microphone. All right.
Yeah.
Something I didn't say earlier, that the recording that I'm making, make sure I've got the recording on. Yeah. So the recording I'm making, I'm going to upload to get to YouTube, and I'll share it. It's part of this collection of videos I'm creating. I'm going to have the 3C Media folks do the captions for it, so it'll be captioned. But it's something to share that this tool, Confer, now that I'm using, the chat is not included in recording. So if you ever use this as an instructor, make sure that you, in your recording it, make sure that you kind of say out loud what's typed in the chat message, because otherwise, again, it will be part of the recording. Okay, so the next slide actually is practice time. And I'm going to open up a browser window that is open to my class that I'm using for this series called Webinar on Canvas. So this is the course homepage that I'm looking at right now. As I had done before, last time I actually created some placeholder content in the modules page, and I even published some of the items, but they are all empty. So if I click on this link here, A Journey into the Past, this will be an empty content page, so I can see that it is not, that there's nothing there. And to edit it, I click on the Edit button. And now I'm looking at the edit interface here. So I'm going to pop over to another browser window, and I'm going to grab myself some text just so I can have some text to play with. Okay. Okay, so I just grabbed a couple paragraphs, and I'm ready to paste over here. So I'll start off by, so this class that I'm working with here, I'm imagining this is a history class that I'm teaching, and so this is the very first page that students see. It's the first page of the first module. Journey into the Past is how I think of a history when I'm teaching a class. And so I'm going to, although my students have already seen the syllabus probably, I'll probably kind of restate some of that information here. So I'll say on this course, so this were a face-to-face workshop. I'd be doing this on the screen at the same time, asking people to do it on their computers, okay. So I plan on just put something, a couple sentences there. I'm going to go ahead and put change the style of this paragraph from paragraph, which is the default, to header 2. And I'm going to call this course themes. I'll call it course questions, actually. And again, I'm going to talk about using a list here. You may have noticed that the red underline appeared there. The Canvas relies on the spell checker that is part of the browser. I'm using the Chrome browser right now. So if I misspell any words, Canvas will, I'm sorry, it's not Canvas that checks that. It's Google in this case, because I'm using the Chrome browser. Okay. And I'm going to put a bulleted list here. So this is an unnumbered list. Okay, I got one more. Okay, so I just created a bulleted list, and again, it's important that I use the actual bulleted list formatting thing because for universal design principles, if students are listening to this page on the screen reader, they'll actually hear this is a bulleted list coming up, and then list those items. Let me go ahead and put one more header here, and I'll say. Okay, so I'm going to get this link text here, help, and it is ask your instructor a question. Okay, so I have put some text here. I have formatted, let me go ahead and grab some bold words here. So I'll say the word to be in American, women and men. So I'm just kind of highlighting some keywords in each of those questions. Again, the fact that I've highlighted them by making them bold, there's no crucial meaning being attached to that. So if someone doesn't recognize it as bold, that's fine. Let me go back to my slide real quick and say, yeah. So any questions on this that I've done here with the text heading?
I guess my only question is where you said ask your instructor a question. Is that linked or have you not linked that?
That's always linked by default. So on the help menu, so global navigation is over here on the left side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click on help, all Canvas questions, all Canvas courses, if I click on, because I'm inside this course here and I click on this link, ask your instructor a question,
Mm-hmm.
it generates a new conversation using the conversations tool. It sends a message to the instructor for that course.
Okay, but it's not an embedded link in the content page?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and it's something, what's nice about it is it's always accessible to students, no matter where they are inside Canvas. And of course, it'll recognize what course they're in, so it'll make sure that the question gets sent to the correct instructor.
Okay.
Okay, so before I click Save in the bottom here, I'm going to mention one option on this, and that is that I can actually take any content page in Canvas and I can make it wiki style by allowing my students to edit the page. It does keep a history of the edits that were made, so I can see who made which edit. But it's something to keep in mind. Most of our pages, I imagine for most of our courses, will be only teachers can edit it. But if you ever wanted to do a wiki assignment in your class, you could actually do that inside of Canvas. So I'll leave that as only teachers, and then I'll click the Save button. And now my page is, it's ready. It's ready for me to look at. I can see what my students see. Because this content page is inside a module, automatically at the bottom of the window, there's a next button, and that'll take them to the next item in the module. Okay. All right, let me flip back over here and redo my presentation. So we just created a content page within a module. I added some text and I used a heading. I did not demonstrate this, but again, I could have copied and pasted formatted text, say from Microsoft Word or something like that, into that rich content editor. Okay, so one of the things I can do in Canvas is I can link pretty easily inside a page into other things that are inside Canvas. And that the screenshot I have there is what's called a content selector. And it's there as part of Canvas, as part of the content. When you're editing a content page, the content selector actually is also part of the discussions. It's also part of quizzes. It's in part of assignments as well. So any place where you have that rich content editor announcements for that matter as well, it is possible to add internal links. An important point for me to make here is that anytime you're linking internally to Canvas, so for example, I'm going to add a link that goes out to my syllabus, for example, or if I have a link from the discussions, you know, I have a link from a discussion that goes back to a content page, something like that. It's important that for internal links, I use this tool here, the content selector. And the reason is that when I copy this course into another Canvas course, if I'm going to reteach it next semester, or if I'm, you know, making a duplicate for whatever reason, if I'm using the internal linking tool, all of those links will be adjusted automatically, so I won't have to worry about broken links. I could also insert a hard HTML link, right, that goes to one of these pages, because these are just pages within the Canvas course. But if I use the hard HTML link, right, if I right-click, copy link address, and insert the link that way, then when that course gets copied, that URL, that link will go back to the original course, which I will probably be able to see because I'm an instructor in both courses, but of course my students in the new course won't be able to see. So again, anytime you're linking internally, it's a good idea to link, to use these, the content selector here. And you can see that the links tab on that points to, you know, wiki pages. Those are the content pages, any assignments, quizzes, announcements, discussions modules, and then course navigation. And then, so I'm going to demonstrate, and my practice thing is to add a link back to the course syllabus, which is one of the tools in course navigation. And then a question for us as we are doing these internal links is, do we want to include a link? Do we want to include a link, you know, in the destination that's a backlink basically to the prior page? So that might come. Let me go and say practice time, add external link to the course syllabus, and I'll pull over that page again. So for example, if I look at my modules, and in my first module here, introduction to the course, right, the actual contents that I have, you know, I've got this journey into the past is kind of the initial page. I've got this other thing here that says the aftermath of World War II. So in my U.S. history class, post-1945, the first week I'm actually going to talk about World War II and its aftermath and all that. And of course, that's going to touch on a lot of those subjects. And of course, you know, I will touch on all those questions that I just wrote down. So if I had 7 questions, I think, or maybe 6, I could put information that touches on all of those into that one content page called the aftermath of World War II. Or I could create several content pages, right? One could be, you know, how World War II affected race relations, how it affected gender relations, gender roles, how it affected the role of America in the world, and all those kinds of things. And I could make those, you know, 6 or 7 different content pages within this module. So that's 2 options. A third option actually is I could just create those content pages, and I could add internal links that go from, you know, this page called the aftermath of World War II. I could add links that go to World War II on race relations, World War II on gender relations, but then I would probably want to add backlinks to go back to this page. So I hope that makes sense, and I'm going to demonstrate it right now by adding a link back to the syllabus, which is my suggestion for practice. And to do that, I'm going to edit that page I was just editing right now called A Journey into the Past. Again, click on the edit button to edit it. And at the end, I'm going to add a note, complete information on course policies, activities, and assignments is in the, and it's going to be a link to the course syllabus. So at this point, I could type a word here. I could select the text, and then that content selector I mentioned is on the right side of the page, right? You see the links section. Well, I'm going to go to course navigation, and then course syllabus is one of the links here. Because I have the word syllabus selected, if I were to click on that course syllabus, then the link to the course syllabus would be the link for would be the link for this text. Okay, so the other option is I can actually not have any text selected, right? I've just got my insertion point. And when I click on insert content into this page, I'm on the links tab. I've opened up the course navigation list. If I click on course syllabus, watch what happens to the page there, right? It inserts the name of the link, course syllabus. It flashed yellow briefly for a moment, and that is a live link. So I'll click Save, and to test it, I'll click on that link, course syllabus, and it'll take me to the course syllabus, right? So
And
I
that's
mentioned
is that the preferred method?
Preferred method. You mean in terms of getting to the syllabus,
In
or?
terms of what you had talked before about the linking of it, would it still stay within the shell if you were to transfer it?
Yes, actually. So let me do this. I'll show you the wrong way too. So I've got my syllabus link here in course navigation. I'm going to right click. Now this is going to be hard to see it's probably going to be hard to see in the recording, but it's on the bottom of the screen there. When I hover my mouse point over, right, it's got the link URL on there. But I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose copy link address. So I've copied a link that is to this particular class. On this particular, it's to this particular location, the syllabus on this particular class. So if I open up a new browser window, this will actually be a good demonstration. So we'll pretend I'm a student in a new class, right? So this is an incognito window, so I'm not logged in anywhere, and I paste the link. So if I see the link address, right, it says losrios.instructure.com, courses, that's course 1055, and then it's a link out to the syllabus. If I try to go to that page, this should give me a broken link. Yeah, see, it's forcing me to log in. So therefore, it's a bad link. But on that content page, so let me go back there, modules and journey into the past. When I copy this course over into the next time I teach it, that link will be corrected so that it points to the correct to the course syllabus within the same class. And the reason why that works is because I use the content selector to insert that link.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So then the other thing I mentioned in my presentation, my slideshow, was about adding a backlink. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. So this is called a journey into the past. It's important that I remember that because that's the name of this page. So on the syllabus, right, I'm going to edit the syllabus, and I'm going to add here. When you are ready to begin, visit. So that's going to be the name of this page. Now, at this point, right, this is that first content page I want my students to see is called Journey into the Past. So at this point, I actually have a couple of different ways to add a backlink, right, into that location. One is, this is a wiki page, so I could click on a Journey into the Past, and that is one way to do it. Or try a link to the module. In fact, I'm going to say try a link to, and so this time I'm going to click on modules, and it's going to be that first module, which is called Week 1 Introduction to the Course. And now when I click on Update Syllabus, so this is basically, I don't want to do both of these because this will be confusing for students, but these are basically two different ways from this page here to link back to that other page. I say the word page here, this is the course syllabus. Okay. So if I click on that first link, A Journey into the Past, right, it's going to go directly to that content page, A Journey into the Past. This is the first page in that module. I can see the next button down here, so that'll take me to the module. Or because I'm using modules to organize everything, so that's an important kind of caveat to say, it's because I'm using modules. The other option works if I click on this link with Week 1 Introduction to the Course, it'll take me to that link on the modules page. In which case, as a student, I would have to click on A Journey into the Past to get to that same page. So again, different ways in effect to get to the same place. Okay, so I'll go back to the syllabus, and I'm actually going to edit that and get rid of that second link. Okay, update syllabus. Okay, any questions on that internal linking? Any other questions?
No. Okay.
So when I first set up my schedule for these webinars, this actually was all I was going to cover in this session 3 out of 10. And then I thought, you know what, I'm not sure that's going to fill the entire hour. So why don't I go ahead and add some multimedia? So we'll talk about multimedia as well. Multimedia, images, audio, and video, these can be added. I put that title of the slide, multimedia, in context because I like to have the context for the multimedia before my students click on it. And so therefore I like to embed it inside a content page So for example, like a YouTube video, instead of just giving my link, putting a link on the modules page that goes directly to the YouTube video, which I could do because an external link is one of the options, I would rather put some instructional context around that link. So I'm telling my students, why are we watching this video? What I want you to learn from this video? How are you going to demonstrate that you've watched the video done, right? So those types of things. And then the same thing, for images, I like to put some context around the image. And then audio basically is the same thing as video. It's a way to do multimedia. If you're inserting images, there are actually, you can see here, I've got 4 different types of images that I'm talking about. First of all, there is a embedded Creative Commons Flickr search within Canvas. So if you're looking for some type of image that you don't already have an image that you want for that particular page, you can actually use Flickr within Canvas. Search for an image on Flickr, and those images are all tagged or licensed for Creative Commons reuse. And there are basically 2 ways to add image to a content page in the rich content editor. One is there's a button, I've got a picture of a screenshot there, the embed image button. And the other is that content selector, that same tool that I use to add a link. Well, one of the tabs up there is images. And so I could, so again, these 2 different ways. If you want to add something from Flickr, you can either use the content selector or the embed image button. If you have an image on your local computer that you want to upload right now, you've got it, you're set, then the only way to do that on the fly is to use the content selector. So in other words, that embed image button won't work to grab something from your local computer, but you can use the content selector, and on the screenshot there you see the text, upload a new image. Once you've uploaded an image, and you can actually go straight to the Files tool in your class to upload images. Once you've uploaded an image, then you can use either of those 2 methods, the embed image button or the content selector. If the image exists on the web somewhere, then you can grab the location of that image file and just by that button, the embed image button, you can add via URL. And then a final point I'm going to make sure that I demonstrate for you is to include the alt text for universal design. Again, this is, if you can imagine a student who is blind and is listening to your page via content reader, what will they hear when the image file pops up? If it is a truly decorative image, in other words, it's only there for decoration, if you put double quotes, that meets those the regulations in terms of accessibility. But if it is an image that's important, then make sure that you've got alt text that kind of tells what's in the image. And of course, I'll be showing that to you. Any questions on images before I move on?
No.
Okay. So the rich content editor also includes a button for you. Oh, still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I accidentally turned on my phone. The rich content editor includes this button that says record upload media. So you can actually record, so obviously you have to have a microphone, but you can record audio directly into the rich content editor using that button. If you have an audio file on your local computer, you can also upload from that. And it's important for audio files, of course, to include a transcript. That's probably best done via an additional link for universal design. And then that same button there, right, it says record upload media. Well, it can also do video. So you can record a video directly to Canvas using that button, and you can also upload it. And it says audio file. I thought I fixed this last time. Pardon me. I'm going to fix this right now. Video file. Okay. You can also upload a video file using that same button. And then again, for videos, you want to have it captioned for universal design. Now, I do want to talk about the video option here. This is really convenient for the instructor, and students have this as well. So for discussion, students can actually record audio, record video. So it's really convenient for me as an instructor if I want to record, like in my online classes, I always have a weekly talking head video. It's just me saying, hey, class, this is what we're covering this week. And I could use this tool to record that, but the process of adding captions to videos that you upload, that you record rather doing this, is kind of clunky. You actually have to, you upload the video first, and then you have to get the URL for the video once it's uploaded, go to another service called Amara, get an account on Amara, upload your video, or link to that video there, open the video within the account, use Amara's tools to caption the video, which is actually not that hard, but then download the caption file from Amara, come back into Canvas, and at the same location upload the caption. Oh my gosh, so there's several steps that are there. I actually prefer to upload my videos directly to YouTube and then embed the YouTube video inside Canvas. YouTube's captioning tools, the self-captioning tools, are actually pretty easy to use. So that's just a recommendation that I have. But the same tool, again, is present in the feedback options when you're giving feedback to students on an assignment. And you don't technically have to caption those feedback videos. Probably better for all students, but and obviously if you had a student who was hearing impaired, you would not use the video, or make sure you caption the video. But this is, again, very convenient for giving feedback or quick response in those situations. Okay. Any questions on audio or video?
I do actually have two questions.
Okay.
The first is there a file size limitation for each image, or is there a file size limitation for the course itself on Canvas also?
Great question. There is a file size limitation for the course. It's pretty big. I think it's a couple of gigabytes.
Oh, okay.
And then in terms of the individual files, there isn't a file size limit from Canvas, but there probably is from your network connection or maybe your computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other question was, you hit on it a little bit, was about captioning services. You hit on it with Amara and YouTube, and I find that YouTube isn't always consistent.
Right.
Will YouTube work, or do you just go in there and edit it, or is it written transcript? Yeah,
that's a great question. So YouTube, no, I do not trust the auto caption on YouTube. YouTube has a way to caption videos. You can manually, and I don't even edit their captions. I actually just go in and basically type as I'm talking. And I don't mean as I'm filming the video, right? I film the video, I upload it, go into YouTube, and then listen to it. And they've got a self-caption tool that, what's nice about it is that the video automatically pauses as you're typing. And then it will do the timing automatically. Also with YouTube, the other option you have is if you have a transcript, right? So if you have if you have a script that you're reading off of during the video, you can take that file, that plain text file, basically upload it to YouTube, and YouTube will work out the captions. Will work out the timing automatically. But even better than that, so I haven't mentioned this, YouTube, I typically do that for, I would maybe max out at 3 or 4 minutes, which is actually a good length for online video for an online class. You definitely don't want to go any more than 10 minutes because of the attention span. But if I'm making a video up to 3 or 4 minutes, I will caption it myself. If it's any longer than that, or if it's a video that I have, that I'm say I've ripped a DVD or something like that, we have access to a free service through the website is 3C Media Solutions. So let me pull that up here in the video. 3cmediasolutions.org. And what 3C Media Solutions is, it's a state chancellor's office funded service. This is like YouTube for California community colleges. But what's really cool about it, so if I log in, I'm like, wait, how come it didn't remember my password? Because I'm in a different browser. Oh, yeah. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I think, can you see the 3C Media Solutions page?
I can.
Okay. So just so you know, for this tool that we're using, that I'm using rather, Confer Now, when I did screen sharing, I had the option either to pick a particular program window or to share one of my desktops, and I chose the desktop sharing, and I'm glad I did because this way I can bring this over. So I'm logged in right now to 3C Media Solutions here. And if I go to my account and I go to Media, and I've got a folder here called Canvas Webinars. And I've got 2 videos so far, right? Web 1 syllabus, Web 1, that should say Web 2 modules, that's okay. If I click on the details and options for this video here, and I scroll down, you see this DECT captioning grant? I've already requested that be captioned. And so it's there in the process right now of captioning. You know, they contract out with a company that does that. And then once that's captioned, which I've already done for this one, once that's captioned, then I can go to the Edit Media page, you see here. And then Edit Media, where is it? There is that, you see the dect.vtt. So that is a caption file that they created for me. So 3C Media Solutions, it's free for us in California community colleges. And what's really nice about it, again, my favorite thing is this, is the captioning thing. Now, I could take this same video, so this video that I'm making right now, right? I'm basically gonna, after we're done today, I'm gonna go into this folder here, Canvas Webinars. I'm gonna upload it. You see the Add Upload Media button here. And from here, so I'll take, let me do my Web 1 modules, and I'm gonna edit this because I'm a stickler for detail. Let's make that say Web 2 is what it should say. Okay, so what I could do is I could take this video here, and I can grab the share link at the bottom, or I can grab the embed code. But Canvas and YouTube play together really, really well. So I'm going to show that to you. So here's, let me go ahead and say through my process again. This video that we're making today, so I'm already up to 40 minutes, right? Will probably be about an hour. Way too long for me to caption myself. I'm going to upload it to 3C Media Solutions. I'm going to ask them to do the captioning. I'm also going to upload it to YouTube. And then I'm not going to use the auto caption from YouTube, and I'm not going to do my own captioning in YouTube. Once I get the transcript file from 3C Media, I'm going to download the transcript file and then upload that transcript file to YouTube. And the reason I use YouTube for the actual, you know, the URL that I'll share with everyone, instead of using YouTube versus 3C Media, or the reason why I like YouTube better is that YouTube plays very well with Canvas, and YouTube is also pretty good with mobile, and the sharing links are cleaner and all that. Okay, so let me go ahead and move that out of the way.
What is their turnaround time for captioning?
It's a few days up to a week. It can be a couple of weeks depending on their workload.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So other video, I mentioned YouTube already, and what you can do with Canvas, which is really nice, is if you paste a YouTube link in the Canvas rich text editor, basically Canvas will recognize it and automatically embed a thumbnail. We'll grab the thumbnail and automatically embed it, which is really slick. And again, I'll show that to you in just a moment. And then I have that, that little comma space CC there. So this is a little trick to use when you're searching for videos inside YouTube. If you want the videos to be closed captioned, meaning that the person who uploaded the video, that person has done something to caption the video. If you put whatever your keywords are and put a comma space CC, then all of the results will be closed captioned. You can embed videos from other sources. So again, I could embed directly from 3C Media. If I want to embed a TED Talk, this is another example. I would need to get the embed code from that other source, and then I would have to edit the HTML view of my content page to do that. And then there are some external apps that are connected to Canvas. In Los Rios, we have a contract with Films on Demand. So there's a way that within the rich content editor, I can find a film on demand and enter that. And then again, for universal design, it's important that you caption the videos or make sure that they're captions. So we talked about that with YouTube. The films on demand, it's possible to find captioned videos that are there. They're mostly captioned. And then it's also a good idea to include a link out to the page where the video is from. This is done automatically with YouTube, but with any other source. And the reason you want to do that is that just in case there's something wrong with the browser window or the way that the video is playing, if you include a link out, the students, if necessary, can open that up in a new browser window. Okay, so I'm going to, I think, practice time, add a Flickr image, confirm alt text, and do caption YouTube. So let me go ahead and pull that into my class here. So I'll go into my content page. I'm going to go to the one on the aftermath of World War II. Again, this is a placeholder that I created last time, so it is empty. I'll click Edit. And again, I like to put some instructional context. So I think, nope, I need to grab that. Again, I just have some nonsense text to paste. And I'll put in a header 3. Okay. So okay. So I'm going to insert a Flickr Creative Commons here, and I can click on the button to embed image, or I can select the Images tab on the right side of the page here. I'll go and click Embed Image, and then you see here the options, right? If I already have the URL, if it's already inside my course, I can click on the Canvas button, or I can click on Flickr, and I'll do a search for the World War II Victory Kiss. Let's see if this pulls it up. There it is. Okay, so Flickr, you may notice that it automatically inserts the alt text, which is from Flickr. That's pretty nice. I can change it if I want to. I'll go and leave that there. And then the dimensions, if I want to change the dimensions, I can. Let's go ahead and click Update and see what this looks like. Okay. So again, I confirmed that if I want to resize it at this point, because I might think it's too big in this window, I can select the image and then grab one of these handles to shrink it down. If I want to change the alt text or confirm the alt text while I'm in edit mode, I can click on the image to select it, right? So I've got it, the outline there. And then again, click that embed image button, and then it will, I can change the alt text if I want to. So this is the statue of the Kiss in San Diego.
And if this was a decorative image and didn't affect your content like it does here, is this where you'd put those two?
Yeah, the double quotes, just like that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let me click Update, and let me click Save. Okay, so let me click, so I can see that it's there. I'm going to click Edit and do one more thing, and that's insert that caption to YouTube video. So let me give myself another insertion point. I'm going to go to header 3. And let's see if I can find something on Winston Churchill on victory. No, President Truman. This is an American history class, so. Okay. So again, some instructional context. In this video, President Truman discusses the end of the war. Okay. Again, so I've got this insertion point. I'm ready to insert that video. I'm going to open up a new browser tab or new browser window. Go to YouTube. Oh, that's funny. I didn't recognize it. So go to YouTube. And then inside YouTube, I'm going to do a search. And I'm going to, again, do President Truman victory and war. And again, comma, space, CC. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. Chapter 1, the end of the war, U.S. Army News and Media. Sounds great. You see the CC icon down here. Again, the people who uploaded it, here we go. President Harry Truman announcing the surrender of Germany, closed captioned. It's got a CC on it there. So I'm going to click on that. And of course, if I would actually watch this, I'm going to mute it, and I'm going to bet that it's just a picture. Yep, so it's not an actual video, but that's fine. This will work for the purposes of what I'm doing. If I turn on closed captioning, I can see that it's there. So all I need here is to copy any of the YouTube links. I can copy the link from the browser's location bar. I can also click on the share button, again, copy that link, and then in Canvas, all I have to do is paste the link, hit enter. Canvas recognizes that it's a YouTube link. It kind of puts some, this is just an edit mode, but once I click save, that video thumbnail should appear on the page, and a student could actually watch the video within the page if they wanted to. And then again, I mentioned that option for linking out. You see at the top there, there's a link that is set to open in a new browser window so that a student could click on that link if they wanted to. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Again, so what I just did with embedding YouTube, with inserting an image, that's part of the rich content editor. And the rich content editor, it's here for content pages. The same thing is there for discussions, quizzes, assignments, and announcements. So all the things that we just did here, we could do in those other places. Okay, and I think, yeah, that's actually my last, I need to add a closing presentation, closing slides to this presentation. So I hope that this has been a good webinar for you, and you're here live, or if you're watching the recording, we talked about content, and I kind of highlighted a lot of the accessibility stuff. Make sure to use headings, lists, and keep a mind of color. If you're using images, make sure that you add alt text, or check the alt text that's there. You know, the videos or captions. We talked about the easy embed for YouTube videos. And then the other thing I mentioned was, as well, if you're linking to other pages inside of Canvas, it's important that you link, that you use the content selector to do the link, because that way it'll automatically be adjusted when you copy it over to another class. Any final questions as we wrap up?
No, thank you very much, though.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. The next workshop in the series is coming up on Tuesday, November 1st, and we'll be doing advanced formatting and content. So I'll be playing with HTML and CSS.